Greetings again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OSI Today, the podcast featuring news and views from around the Office of Special Investigations. I'm Wayne Amon from OSI Public Affairs. The enduring memories of the fallen who gave their lives for the OSI mission have been forever enshrined in the OSI Hall of Heroes. And with me to discuss that hallowed hall, I'm very pleased to be joined by Mr. Terry Krebs, Deputy Director of OSI Behavioral Sciences and Liaison to the families of the OSI Fallen. Terry, welcome aboard to the program again. Great to have you with us.
Hi, Wayne. Thanks for having me today.
Well, it almost goes without saying what the Hall of Heroes means to the nearly 75-year legacy of the command. There's no more lasting tribute to its people than that special area. Now, with your more than 30 years of experience within the command and having given multiple tours through that unique place, what does it mean for OSI to have the existence of a Hall of Heroes?
Well, first of all, the hall is a very special place to OSI and specifically to the headquarters. And it shows and proves to everyone that we honor the sacrifices of our fallen and that we will never forget the sacrifices of the fallen, and that we go out of our way to talk about everyone on that wall to as many people as we can to keep their memories alive.
Sure, sure. Yeah, very, not just somber, but it's a very important part of the legacy, no doubt about that. Now, Terry, for the benefit of our listeners new to the OSI as an organization, back in 1998, when OSI was headquartered at Bolling Air Force Base in D.C., it directed the creation of a memorial to be displayed at the OSI Academy at Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland, dedicated to the command's fallen agents who gave their lives in the line of duty. Now, in 2011, when OSI headquarters moved to Quantico, Virginia, its current location, the Hall of Heroes moved along with it. Now, with various units within the command creating their own versions of the hall, what does that tell you about the culture of command in regard to honoring its fallen?
Well, it just proves to everyone that OSI has a culture of history and of honor, and that specifically includes all of the folks that are in our Hall of Heroes. Now, it's interesting that you brought up about having this memorial in more than just the headquarters. Generally, in every office throughout the command and at our training academies, throughout the world, these portraits are hung there so that everyone that comes through has an opportunity to learn about the fallen. Interestingly, just over the last few months, I have given tours of the hall to not only OSI distinguished visitors, but to senior leaders from foreign law enforcement countries, to include Japan and Korea and France, and even most recently, the country of Palau.
Oh, wow.
Received a tour.
You must have had very interesting reactions to those tours, giving those people the tour.
Well, the reaction really is about the same, that everyone is so impressed that our command has gone out of the way to do this, that all of these organizations, if they don't already have a wall like this, they all walk away saying that they are going to make one of these for their organizations that is really almost exactly like ours.
Wow. Wow, that certainly does leave an imprint, no doubt about that. Now, Terry, the loss of those making the ultimate sacrifice certainly leaves a lasting impression on any organization, like you just alluded to. The roll call of the 16 OSI Fallen spans conflicts beginning back in 1967 with Vietnam. Can you kind of give us a recap briefly of the names and kind of give us a bit of a roll call from that beginning point?
Yes, I sure can. So when I first came into OSI in 1991, there were only two names on the wall, and that was Special Agent Lee Hitchcock and Special Agent Raymond Round. So Lee Hitchcock was an agent in Vietnam, and Raymond Round was an agent in Thailand. So it's around the Vietnam conflict time.
Right, right.
Both of those folks were like the very first folks on the wall, because they were, going after the people that were doing not so good things. And those people found out about OSI during that time. And the response is to try to figure out who we are and to stop us from doing those things. Because the work that we do today and the work that we did then is very, very important, but also very, very dangerous.
Yeah, sounds like
So,
they sounds like they really made some enemies back in those days.
well, they did. And, an interesting story about Lee Hitchcock, and about how OSI never forgets is several years ago, we received a phone call from someone not even connected with OSI that said that they were in a pawn shop, that they had found a bronze star in a box. And on the back of that bronze star was inscribed the name Lee Hitchcock. So they went to the internet, did some research on who Lee Hitchcock was, and found out that most likely that it was our Captain Hitchcock, the special agent, and that person called us.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean,
Amazing.
really wonderful story. So
Yeah.
we were able to have that bronze star sent to us, and we were able to contact Captain Hitchcock's little brother, and we had him come to the headquarters, and we had a very large ceremony where we represented that bronze star back to the family of Captain Hitchcock.
Right, right. Yeah, that as a matter of fact, I remember that day, and that was a very poignant moment in our history, and I'm sure for the Hitchcock family as well. Now, moving down chronologically through the years, Terry, some of the other, the fallen names were certainly names from our history.
That's right. So, as you continue down the wall and seeing the portraits of the fallen, you have to remember, that this is about, a war fighting organization. So we had a long break between September 1970, when we lost Ray Round, until August in 2004, when Rick Albright passed away. Between 1970 and 2004, a lot had changed, but what hadn't changed was the mission of OSI. So for a long time, people only thought like, well, all we do is run drug cases. But the reality is that we did so much more than that. And that we found out during the war in the Middle East that those skills that OSI agents had were highly desirable and highly effective in a wartime environment. And because our mission set expanded, so did the exposure of our team to highly dangerous locations throughout the world.
Sure.
So in 2004, with the death of Rick Albright, started that next round of engagement of our foreign adversaries in foreign environments. Following Rick Albright, we have Dan Kohlmeyer, who passed away in February 2006. Then we had a little bit of a break, because what we do is we adapt to the battlefield. We change our procedures and our tactics so that we can make the environment not only more safe for the people we're protecting, but for our teams as well. But as we adapt, our adversaries adapt.
Right.
So then on the 5th of June, 2007, we lost Ryan Ballmer and Matt Kuglich. So that was during a time that everybody refers to now as the surge in Iraq. So OSI agents were highly active in doing lots of great work, and unfortunately in very hostile environments.
Sure.
So then we had another break from June until 2007 until November 2007.
Right.
So you have to remember that when you're deployed, you are normally working just about a 20-hour day. So 1 month of normal time is really 3 times that amount in deployment time.
Right.
So from June to November, that's approximately about 5 months, but really that's about 18 months in regular work time.
It certainly is compressed, no doubt about that.
It is compressed. And because of what we're doing, we had adapted, we had changed, but again, the adversaries had adapted. And unfortunately, on the 1st of November, 2007, we had, up to that time, the worst day of loss in OSI history, when we lost Tom Crowell, Nate Schultheis, and Dave Uyghur, all in Balad, Iraq.
Yeah, definitely a dark day. Now, moving on, another gap between 2007 and 2011, the first non-agent had perished, and that was Master Sergeant Tara Brown as a professional staff member.
Yes, sir, that's right. So people need to understand that OSI is not just made up of OSI special agents. We have a complete team of professional staff members who are equally important and primary members of our operational units, whether it's here in the States or overseas, and to include these very dangerous locations that we go to. Master Sergeant Tara Brown in April 2011 was at one of those locations in Kabul, Afghanistan,
Right.
and unfortunately lost her life.
Sure.
During these deployments, no one cares whether you're an agent or you're a pro staffer, but that you're just part of OSI and that you're there supporting the mission, supporting the troops, and again, unfortunately, in very hostile environments, doing this very important work.
Right.
Sergeant Brown, no doubt, was doing everything that she needed to do that day. And unfortunately, as I mentioned, April 2007, lost her life.
Right. We moved the clock ahead, Terry, to 21 December of 2015, which was called the darkest day in OSI history by former OSI Commander General Keith Givens, when the Hustler 6 unfortunately perished that day.
Yeah, that's right. 21 December 2015 was a tough day for everybody, and especially the 6 members of our team that we lost in Bagram, Afghanistan. This, however, was a very unique situation because if you remember, in 2007 was the last time that we lost some agents outside of the wire during operational activities. So we go from 2007 to 2015, a very large gap of time where we had done everything that we could to adapt and overcome and adjust to the battlefield to keep everyone safe. So what we had figured out during that time was that OSI agents were not very good at providing our own physical security. So we went to Air Force Security Forces, and they started providing our physical security teams, which we called tactical security elements.
Right.
On 21 December 2015, we lost 2 defenders, Technical Sergeant Joe Lim and Staff Sergeant Louis Bonacasa, who are both members of the 105th Air National Guard at Stewart Air National Guard Base in New York. Both Guard members and primarily New York City detectives who had volunteered to be part of these teams in these most dangerous locations, and were with the 4 agents that day: Mike Cinco, Chester McBride, Pete Taub, and the commander, Adriano Vorderbruggen.
Right. Right. That was, yeah, definitely. I remember that very well. I myself was on leave overseas at the time, and it was a real shock to the system when I heard about that. But again, you know, the one of the strong threads of OSI is that, as you said, we adapt, we overcome, and we do move on, but still with that sense of pride in those who came before us.
That's right. So we work really, really hard to make sure that all of the people that are on that wall, all 16 of the people that we lost in these wartime environments, that they are never forgotten and that their names are talked about, their stories are told. And it's a sense of pride for us to walk people down that hallway, to be able to talk about them any chance we get, any opportunity we have, so that not only that we don't forget, but we know that their families know that they will never, ever be forgotten.
Right. And truth be told, Terry, we are recording this prior to the anniversary of the Hustler 6 Fallen. And we're going to be releasing this podcast on 21 December as part of that honoring of all of our fallen, but specifically what was proclaimed as the darkest day in OSI history from a fallen perspective. Our next question, Terry, basically deals with the person who came up with the Hustler 6 drawings, or creating the wonderful artist conceptions of them that are in the hall. And she was contracted to do those for OSI. And she said, and I quote, "I'm aware of these magnificent men and women because their portraits personalize their sacrifice." Now, as the guide accompanying visitors through the hall, Terry, how does escorting them impact you? It must, you know, is it different every time, or how does it really touch you when you go through that hall?
Well, I'll be honest, it's a little tough sometimes because most of these people, actually 14 of them, because I've been in OSI so long, and I was in Baghdad during both of the events that happened in 2007. I know these people, worked with them. knew people that worked with them, had deployed with a couple of them. And it really is important to me to tell the story, because what we're starting to see now is that when the families come to have tours of the hallway, they are bringing family members with them that may not have even been alive during the time of these events, so that they can have an opportunity to get to know this family member in a way that they might not have ever had that opportunity to do before. So it really hits home with me that as I'm telling the stories of the 16 people on the wall, that I'm also reinforcing with everyone that these names will never, ever be forgotten, that they will forever be in the record books for OSI, and that this tour, whether it's given by me or by someone else, will always continue to happen as long as OSI exists as an organization.
And very, very well said, Terry. And of course, we hope that no more names would have to be added to that wall. Again, we can't tell what the future holds, but hopefully, it'll end at 16 names and no more. Hopefully. Now, Terry, before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add? I know you wanted to really emphasize the point about never ever forgetting, and what you just said really hits close to home. It brings, this is kind of a generational thing. It transcends generations, if you will.
Yes, it sure does. And like I said, now we're having family members bringing other family members and aunts and uncles and cousins. So that's why this tour is important. And our Hall of Heroes just isn't these portraits. We have a whole nother section that talks about our involvement in wartime operations or significant events that have happened in the past involving OSI people. And all of their names are listed on the wall for these events and sacrifices that they did as well.
Wow, that's a tremendous historical way to wrap it up there, Terry. Our guest has been Mr. Terry Krebs, Deputy Director of OSI Behavioral Sciences and Liaison to the families of the OSI Fallen. Terry, thanks again for taking the time to be with us. Always great to chat with you.
Yeah, it's great talking to you too, Wayne. Thanks again for letting me tell the story of the hall and talking with you for a little bit of time this morning.
And thanks to all of you listening for tuning in. For OSI Today, I'm Wayne Amon saying so long for now.